I don't know if you can hear me. Can you hear me, Ronald?
Yes, I can hear you loud and clear.
Okay. And how is my lighting? Everything? Can I be seen properly?
I can see you clearly. I think we're good.
All right. So I would like to take this opportunity to thank Enterprise Uganda for this noble cause, standing with business owners, entrepreneurs in this time of need, when things are not adding up. Everyone is crying about the economy, yet we must exist in this economy because we've been given a new lease of life. Every day we are on a wake-up register. God is giving us something to do and telling us you can still make it. So thank you, Enterprise Uganda, for sticking above, the norm and standing with entrepreneurs in this time of need. Allow me to share. I'm sharing my screen. I don't know if you can see it. Hello. I don't know if you can. Please raise up your hand if you can see my screen. Oh, thanks. Thank you. Thank you. So I'll go on. I will not introduce myself more because Ronald has done that. And I know that we've already eaten into 16 minutes of our time, and time is money, like we'll later realize. But really, ladies and gentlemen, my role today is not to turn you into accountants, because I'll be doing an injustice to that. But the role here for me is to help business people, help entrepreneurs to know how to navigate their businesses with accountants, because many people fear accountants because they've been robbed before, it's been unscrupulous in the small businesses, or probably the business is small and you think you cannot afford an accountant. So my role today is to encourage you to look for the right people to place in those roles, okay? Ask them empower them to do their work. Because as founders, again, we have what we call founder syndrome, where we hire people, but we still want to do their work. So I hope that by the end of today, we'll be in a better state as business owners and entrepreneurs to get the right people in that seat to maintain our records. Then we'll know which records they're maintaining, how do we interpret them, how do we hold those people to account, even without being in the day-to-day of approving every piece and bits and pieces, but we focus on a strategic role to grow our business and navigate the stormy waters. So that is what success will look like at the end of this session, okay? Giving you the confidence to have the right people in that seat, but ask them the right questions, give you the tools to ask them the right questions, so that together, you and the person in that seat, in the accountant role, you can grow your business to the next level, okay? Despite the economy. So our agenda today, we really look at what does SME outlook have for us in the Ugandan context. And then we'll, just do an in-depth reflection on what are actions, on the impact of our actions on our finances, on our financial position. Then understand the key records to maintain, what we need to know. From what I've seen, again, from the introductions, we have people in different sectors. So what may work in value chain may not work in retail, but the concepts work. So how do you empower yourself as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, to apply the right concepts, to know when something is too much or too little or inadequate, and you do the right step, just to empower you have that knowledge, okay? Then how do we use the accounting tools? What tools are there for us to be able to check what our accountants are doing and ask the right questions? And then how do we leverage these records to make decisions as business owners, as entrepreneurs, okay? So that is what our outlook is. And I hope that we'll be able to achieve it in the next 1 hour, okay? So when you talk about SME, this script has been written and read and researched, okay? In Uganda, SMEs, 53% fail before their 5th birthday. We have sung this song, it still continues. I know that people like Enterprise Uganda are doing a lot to move this bracket down so that we can have more life-changing SMEs. After all, we say that SMEs are the driver of this economy, but are they? Or how can we enable them to actually drive the economy? We also know a few statistics about SMEs. I cannot repeat them, but there are some general reasons why we fail, why we don't reach our 5th birthday. Liability, no one knows us. We need a record, but you know what? It's like asking for someone to apply for a job and you want 10 years experience, but you want someone who is 30 years. How is that going to happen? Okay. Co-founders. Many of us fear to get co-founders because we don't trust. We want to do things our own, but again, we don't have all the expertise that we need. So that's another reason why SMEs fail. Yeah, the vision actually changes. Okay. The other one that I've highlighted is lack of financial skill leading to bad financial management behaviors, which is the gist of our conversation today. Okay. The other one is no one funds the idea, or too few people buy our products. But I'll go to a point that my boss Ronald called me to talk about, the financial skill, yeah, that leads us to make bad financial decisions. Please note, we are not being trained to be accountants because we are business owners, we are vision bearers, but we need to understand what our accountants are doing. So to break through and grow, we just have to become organized. So ladies and gentlemen, as we proceed, I want us to examine the things we do every day and how they impact our finances and bottom line. If we have good records or bad records, one way or another we'll have an upset customer. For example, if they bought something, but they were given a receipt that doesn't speak about what they bought, or they were given a wrong order, different from what they wanted. So what records can we put in place to make sure that our customers are happy? What records can we put in place to give us sound advice so we make the right business decisions? What records can help us enhance management? Okay, so the reason I'm using this is because at the end of the day, when you're serving your customer, they don't want to know about your numbers or the things that you go through. This is what they see. They see a business growing from A to Z. If it's an investor, if it's a banker, if it's a customer, they know when records are okay, because what you give off is a reflection of how things are in the background. So as we reflect, okay, who are our stakeholders in our different businesses? Okay, how are we serving them? What records do we have to give them credibility in our business? If they are investors, how well are our books? Because we are telling someone to buy into our business. If they are customers, how well do we know our records in terms of what we put in so that we are charging a fair amount? How well are we pricing? What records do we use when we are pricing our services or our records? Okay, or our products. Very important, because if we just dream about a price, then our customer will have a once-off customer. But if we understand the buying persona and we understand what goes into the production of or the good that we are selling, then we are able to even have conversations with our customer so they understand that we're not ripping them off, but the value that we are creating is like, we can quantify the value because we know our records. So we'll know what records we need to have to help us give a good customer experience. Okay. It's not uncommon to find people who think that numbers are complicated. Many of us have our visions and we are disturbed by financial numbers. We think they're too complicated. Our teachers didn't do a good job. We think accountants use a lot of jargon. We're not confident with spreadsheets. Basically, we don't know where to start, so we just keep going. And many times as business owners, we are the accountants, we are the logistics people, we are the sales people, we are the everything. But let us let go and focus on what we need to focus on to bring the numbers. Okay, so we need to get more comfortable with the numbers. We need to put in proper records, understand our personal financial needs, because again, many times as business owners, we draw so much on them, we eat the capital in the business. So how do we separate ourselves? How do we price our products and services so we don't go broke? Okay, those are things. So I know many of you are wondering, so what are the records? We came to know about which records to maintain. Like I said, I'm not turning you into accountants. I want us to have a journey. Like when you get an accountant in your space, you know how to hold them accountable. And also you know what you must understand. So as a business owner, this is the page that you need in all your conversations with your customers, with your suppliers, with your investors, with your bankers, with your accountants, with your partners. Hello?
Monica, could you just put in presentation mode the slides? Is that possible?
Just a minute. I actually looked. Oh, just a minute. Is that better?
That's better. Thank you.
Yeah. So this is what a business owner needs to know. Okay, what money has gone out and what money has come in. So for your business, a home furniture business is different from a cleaning business, which is different from a management consulting. I've been noting down the kind of sectors our people have on the chart, at least before I started presenting, which is different from a bamboo value chain business. But in your space, do you know what money is going in? How are you recording it? I hope it's not in memory, because our memory can fail us, okay? Especially as the demands become so many. Do you know the money that's coming in? That is what you need to know as a business owner, okay? And then everything else will rotate there. When your staff come asking you for something, it has to make sense. Okay, so you're taking out this dollar. How much is it going to return? That is the conversation. And then they will know that if I'm going to XYZ, if I'm going to Nicholas to ask for this funding, they are going to ask me these questions. So once your accountant knows you're going to put them to task, they'll come prepared and give you the information that you need to make the decisions you have to make to grow your business. Okay. So this is the key slide. This is the key information, what goes in and what goes out. Okay. Yeah, so what goes in and what goes out, it's really based off some source documentation. And once you understand it, if depending on all your business, if it's what goes in, what are the things we purchased, okay? How much were they? How much time have we put in to generate this table for a home furniture business, okay? So when you quantify those, then you know this is how much. So some of it will be quantifiable, some of it will be, you have to put in place mechanisms to value the time that you spend, especially those in the service industry. So really the cycle is as simple as this, but you don't have to know, you have to know 1 and 2 and then 5. At the end of the day, what comes out and can you interpret it? Okay, 5. 1 is your source documents. Okay, then the source documents have things like, when did the transaction happen? How much was it? With whom did you transact? What is the reference number? And what is the nature of the transaction? Okay, then things like, are these documents serially numbered so that you can know that in this year we have sold so much. Basically, if we've sold so much, we need 100 receipts to take care of what we have sold, or these are the orders we've had, yeah, so that we take into consideration people who are fraudsters or people who are playing with your books, because many people mistrust the people at the source, the ones who are handling the source documents. But for you, you just need to know how to audit, yeah, those people. then you can empower yourself and free yourself from the mundane tasks. Important for us to articulate the delegation of authority. Some of us, we are business owners, but we want to sign off on electricity bills, water bills, a pen, a pencil. That takes a lot of time. So in your business, do you have someone who even if it's you have one person who does finance and admin and oversees all those things, what is the delegation of authority? What decisions can they make? Okay, what decisions do you have to make? Then you know that you freed yourself, you have the source documents in place, and you freed your time as a business owner to focus on what really matters. Okay. So some examples, again, depending on the industry that you're in. Okay, receipts, it's evidence of money received. Now we have all these mobile banking. I always encourage people to go into automated receipts so that you, at any one time, you have visibility of what's happening. Okay, invoices. These are all the sales that are being made. Are we invoicing? It's good for you to know how your salespeople are doing. It's good for you to know which products are moving. It's good for you to know which service segments are working by just the nature of which receipts are being generated. Many of us have a tendency of being in 1,000 different businesses. I'm doing chicken, I'm doing bamboo, I'm doing this. Okay, granted. But if you want to maintain your sanity as a business owner, at least know how your businesses are doing daily, okay? So that you know where should you be focusing your energy, okay? And where should you, slow down in terms of growing that side. The only way you can know that is when you have information, okay? Checks are instruments, but these are being phased out again. Again, I encourage people to go online. Pay slips, every time you pay someone, it's important for you to have evidence that you've paid someone, or every time you deposit money in a bank, what document do you have? Okay. Goods received, for those of us who are in let's say retail, manufacturing, what are we receiving, and how do we document the things that we're receiving so that we're not relying on memory? Okay. Local purchase orders. This is a notification to purchase goods and services. So we need to choose the ones which work for your business. Okay, if you're in a management consulting firm, you may not need goods received notes. Okay, you probably need where time has been spent by your people. How much time are they spending on things which bring in money, and how much time are they spending on things which don't bring in money, so that you know how to restructure your teams. You know how to know, what, let me have one core staff who is dealing with all the things that are chargeable, and then the others can be variable. That is how we use these documents to make informed decisions. All right. Quotations, who quotes, who signs off quotations? That's the delegation of authority. Does everyone in your business sign off quotations? Are you the only one who signs off the quotations? Or do you have someone else, again, from a quality control perspective, who helps with that? Okay. So you may say that, okay, now that we know the documents that we need, how do I become comfortable as a business owner? So there are some tools. I want to refer to like 4 tools which you can use, okay? Put in place simple accounting systems. And I've given an example here, which is now really readily available. QuickBooks is something that's easy to use, okay? You don't even have need a full-time accountant. You need to have your records ready. And now there are people who are offering services. I'm sure even on this call, someone who said they do consultancy services for SMEs, who can now do your book entry in a right way. And for you, you use this information to know where are your expenses, what business lines are working, so that you focus on where you're going to get maximum results. So which accounting systems are we using? Okay, are we using memory? Are we using books? And who is doing the accounting entries for us? Okay, it's not a big deal, but it can save you a lot, because then you're prepared for any conversation. If someone comes and tells you, purchase this building, invest here, you already know what your business is saying. You know what makes sense to you because you are able to get like a daily pulse on your business without you being in the nitty-gritty of your business, okay? So put in place simple accounting systems. There are quite a number out there. I just wanted to show you, that you can even start tomorrow because things are readily available. It's not like those days when you needed complicated people to set you up, okay? Then, of course, it's important to make use of budgets, okay? Budgets, because then if you have a budget now is a tool, okay? If you've empowered your accountant to put in place all the, the source documents and they're doing that work, for you, your conversation with your accountant or your admin person is, where is the money coming from? What did we project the money is coming from? Are we bringing in that money? Okay, if we're not bringing in that money, where are we spending? Where are we spending where we're spending? A budget really helps have those conversations, and it's important for us to put them in place. I want to divulge more on why it's really important to use a budget as a tool, as a one that captures all the transactions that are going in, all the forecasted transactions and what you anticipate to do. One, many times our lifestyles affect our businesses, where you don't even know, you don't know how much have I invested in the business? How much of the, is it my salary? Are they drawings? What's my lifestyle? So if you're a business owner, like many of us are, or we're aspiring to be, we need to first understand what our lifestyle costs are and how they will impact on the business, because we're going into that business to help us build wealth and manage our lifestyles. But if we don't know what our personal lifestyle budgets are, then we'll confuse the business, okay, by drawing so much and not knowing that, if my lifestyle is, let's say, 1 million, that means that's the salary your business should be able to pay you. It may not be able to pay you that salary, but you go in knowing that my target is for this business to pay me 1 million, okay? Now, when you know, that becomes one of the costs, okay, your business has to meet. But remember, as you're putting in the costs and building the costs, you have to now figure out, where am I going to get the money to pay myself properly so that I don't eat into the business, and to pay for the other business costs. Very important. Don't go into a business not knowing how your personal lifestyle is going to impact the business. Otherwise, you kill it on before it arrives. Okay. Your business should be able to afford its running costs. Do you know the running costs of your business? That is now what the discussion you're having with your accountant, so that you know, where do we invest, where don't we invest, okay? You need to sell enough products. Then after you've set your target, this is my salary that I want, these are the business running costs, how are you breaking even? And a budget helps you, a budget plus your accounting system helps you know how far off you are from your target, in real time, and you stop relying on memory or just doing crisis decision making. Okay, so you may ask me, how do I know my personal budget? Okay, list down all your things that you need to live a comfortable lifestyle, because you see, if you're going into a business, it should be able to pay for that. If it can't pay for that, then maybe you're in the wrong business. Okay, if you have mortgage or rent, utility bills, telephone bills, groceries, transport, list down all your things that you need to be paid for, so that you can know them, put a figure to them, and sign even a contract with your business that this is the amount of money that should be coming to me. Okay, then you wear another hat as a business owner and say, okay, now that I know what the business costs are, what do I need to go and make that money? Okay, so that we separate entirely the person that you are from your business, so that you also have a clear wall when you're explaining to your accountant that I want this, I want that. Many times accountants are intimidated by the business owners because they're the business owners. okay? But how do you protect and ensure that your accountant does a good job? Write the contract so we know that the business should pay you this money. And then the business will also put you to account to look for the business to bring in the money so that we can be able to pay you, all right? Okay, so as a minimum, your salary should at least equal to the sum of your personal expenses, because that's what you do when you're going to look for a job. You ask for something that will cover your personal expenses plus some more. So the same should happen to your business. Let's professionalize our businesses from the word go, okay? Do you have a contract as an employee in that business, okay? Or do you just draw money from the business because it's your business? That is how we fail our businesses, okay? So when you're building your business budget with your accountant, okay, I'm giving you tools, okay, that your accountant will be able to base on to, you know, apportion the resources as they come. Understand what your business budget is. How much do you need each month? That's what we call your working capital. How much do you need? Name your business costs. You may struggle to deal with them, but when you name them, then you know what the nature of agreements to go into. Those are source documents. The nature of relationships to go into, where to source your materials, because you have an indication of what your business budget is, okay? Many of us always underestimate. We don't even set aside money to pay taxes. And then we are caught between a rock and a hard place when the taxman comes knocking, but I'll refer to that in the next slides, okay? So again, how are we pricing? Yeah, I hope you're listening to you're picking the tools, budget, okay? Personal business budget. How are we pricing? Are we pricing based off computation or based off what goes into the business, the resources, the time, and the expertise? How are we pricing? Is our pricing just to cut in competition and we end up pricing below the actual cost that we incur? Or is it informed by what actually goes into the business? Very important. Now, those are the conversations you have with your accountant or your business partner, so that at the end of the day, you're also not bleeding, okay? And even if you are, you know that I'm going to bleed, I'm going to invest so much for this long. And then at this particular, you set yourself a target that at this particular date, I should be able to sell enough to cover all my expenses. And this is what I'm going to do to manage that. If we don't, that's how we get lost in all this glitz and glamour. Someone comes with a shiny business idea, you invest, but you don't know how is that helping your current business? How is that helping you, achieve your lifestyle? If it's shiny, you just go and invest. Then you say, we'll deal with it later. Yeah, that's where you need an accountant to help you, check those milestones. Okay. Okay. So after talking about budget and pricing, it's important in this time, as the economy is really crumbling, to know that if cash is king, ladies and gentlemen, cash flow is queen, okay? So what does cash flow mean? Every business needs that blood. Like if a human being does not have blood, we cannot exist, even if we have how much money on our bank accounts. So ladies and gentlemen, what are the cash flow needs in your business? This is what you ask your accountant to do, to project for you. How much will the cash we have take us? It will take us for 3 months. Okay, so what does that mean? Where do we put our efforts? Where do we stop expanding? Where do we collect early? Where do we, so you start now putting in place measures to protect your cash runway. It's important that you can stretch your shilling as long as it is, because we don't know when the economy will recover. So how do we do that? Okay, we already know that 29% of our startups crash because they run out of cash. Now, we have so much faith and we always think that, things will sort themselves out. Yes, they will, but how are you also prepared for, in case you don't get any new business for the next 3 months, what does that mean? When you have such a conversation with your accountant, then do I need to rent a whole floor, or can I do co-working space? Do I need to have 10 people on my payroll, or can I get them as and when business comes? Do I need to, so you start knowing where is your cash going? How much do you need to run so that you can at least sustain the clients that you have? If you sign a big contract, does it mean you should just expand and buy buildings? Or can you apportion some of that money to give you a cash runway to help your business sustain itself? Vendors are always struggling because they supply and people pay them late. And now if you don't supply because you're waiting for an advance payment, then you run out of business, because also business people are trying to manage cash flow. So how are we really managing the blood in our business, cash flow, okay? It's not how many assets you have, because you may be asset rich and cash poor, but what do you understand how much you need to run your business, even when no new business is coming in? Big question. But that question you can only answer when you have records, and when you have someone, not a relative who has failed to get a job, but someone who understands your business and can help you walk the journey with you. So how can we optimize our cash, okay? When you look at your incoming and outgoing money daily, it makes you, it empowers you to have a sense on where you should be spending effort and where you should be reducing effort. Because when times are tough, you have to fasten your seatbelt. It's not all the time when in a recession, you find very few people growing and expanding because cash is tight. So how do you stretch that shilling, okay? Request deposits from clients, okay? I'm just now giving you tips depending on the business you're in. If you're in home furniture, maybe you request deposits from clients so that you can be able to produce, and then they pay you when you deliver, okay? Follow up with overdue payments regularly, yeah? And I know everyone will be telling you it's tight, the economy, but you're also running a business. So some ways to follow up on overdue payments is introduce early repayment discounts, okay? Yes, because you see, if you don't have cash, that means you have to go to the bank or to a friend or to a money lender to give you money at an expensive interest. So how about you tell people who owe you to give you some, if they pay early, then the given credit period, you give them a discount so that it's a win-win. You get cash. Cash flow is queen, ladies and gentlemen, okay? Or penalties for late payments. I see many organizations doing this for, us in SME, if you don't deliver, we'll give you this penalty and all. But it's high time, even as we stood by and also instituted this in the contracts. What contracts are we signing? If you know you're doing a good job and you can, people actually appreciate your service, let them also pay you on time, or institute penalties for late payments. So that's also a way. It's not a one-side business that big companies used to bully small companies. No, it's time that also us who are building reputable small and medium enterprises institute such things so that people can respect, mutual respect for our businesses. Use apps and softwares to help you. I told you about automating. You don't need to be in, every time you automate, you're reducing processes and streamlining and increasing visibility and transparency. So what can you use to help you monitor your cash? Cash is the oil in your business, okay? Request for payment terms or credit with your suppliers, okay? If you're in a production business, which suppliers, it's now important for you to know which suppliers you're going to work with, who can give you some credit terms, okay? Set policies for minimum and maximum cash level in your business. So you know when there's a red flag, when are we running below, what do we need to do? So those are discussions now you have with your accountant. You can't have these discussions with yourself. Yeah, you can't be the business owner, the strategist, the accountant, no, get someone and train. Then when you start to have this conversation, they'll be coming with proposals Oh, I see we're having so much stock here. Maybe it's time to, do a promo so that we can quickly turn it into cash and, reduce obsolescence. So those are good conversations, and those are business conversations that will help us go to the next level. Cash needs are forecasted. Many of us business owners, things just come up. Oh, I need to do this. Oh, it's like we didn't know about those costs. So they kind of tend to destabilize us. But when we have our records in place, we have our accounting systems in place, we can know 1 month early that we'll need a facility. So you start negotiating early, because every time you negotiate early, you take advantage, you're in leverage. But when you're at the edge, people will always take advantage of you. Then sometimes we have good months and we have surpluses. How are we investing them? Or, basically, what are we doing with them to extend our cash runway? Okay. Filing and paying our taxes on time, very important, because when we don't, we are accumulating penalties and interests. Okay, so how do we manage that in our business? Very important. The third tool and lesson that I wanted to share, ladies and gentlemen, is that know your tax obligations or statutory obligations. The one shareholder in your business is government. Even if it's not in your MEMATS, Memorandum of Association, government is a 30% shareholder in your company, whether you like it or not. So if you decide to register, 30% of your earnings will go to them. The good thing is that as a business owner, you're privileged. You're not like employed people who have to give government first before they spend on themselves. As a business owner, you first cater for your business costs, then you pay government on what you've earned. So many of us don't like taxes, but when you understand it like that, then you work with your accountant to know what are all the business costs that I should account for. Yeah, then I can give the tax man after I have sorted that out. That goes into your record keeping in terms of your inputs. It goes into your pricing. Some of us undercut so much that we end up with nothing. So when you put in place all your business costs, then you can give government their share, because you know that they're not eating into your business. All right. The only way we'll keep on top of our taxes is by maintaining proper records. You may ask me that what are the different tax implications, for the different businesses. I haven't had anyone in real estate on the chat, but it's important for you. I'll share this presentation with Ronald to know the different tax regimes. Ignorance will not help us at all, or complaining about the economy will not help us. We're all enjoying the roads in whatever state and form they are. So we need to play our part, because ignorance will not bail us out. If you're in real estate, okay, and you have commercial real estate, just know that you have to pay 30% on 50% of your income. Okay. If you're in the business of buying and selling land, you know that there are applicable tax laws. You need to pay taxes or plan for them. Okay. If you buy land and it gains value and you sell it, then there's what they call the capital gains tax. It's important for you in real estate to know all the taxes applicable, because these days, even changing a transfer of title, that triggers, someone to know these are the necessary taxes that this person should be able to pay. So you should be ready before even the taxman comes for you. Okay. Stamp duty on sale of property. There is, do you know how much you're supposed to pay? If it's a lease, it's really 1% of value. If it's a transfer, it's 1.5% of the total value. If you're in commercial property or improved land and your revenue is exceeding 150 million, again, remember that you need to pay value added tax at a rate of 18%. So these are taxes that we must know as we start our real estate ventures. Or if we are in the real estate, check yourself to see if you are doing this, because if you have a TIN number and you're going to transfer your land title to anyone, just know that the tax will catch up with you. So it's better to be prepared and plan for it in how you price and in how you go about your land transactions, okay? What if you're in consulting, okay? If you run a consulting business, ladies and gentlemen, be prepared to pay 30% of profit, okay? Remember what I said, the beauty about running a business is that you pay government last, yet when you're employed, you pay government first. So you're in a privileged position to determine, okay, how much you're going to pay government, but you still pay government at 30%. And if you're dealing in anything, if your turnover is higher than 150 million, just know then you've triggered another tax, value added tax. It's something that you need to consider in your business. I'm happy we have some tax consultants here. They can weigh in or actually be of service, all right? If you're a director in a company, you cannot still run away from taxes. There are different tax bands. If you earn below 2.8 million, it's nil. If it's between 2.8 to 4 million, 10% on that amount. So again, know the tax regime in whatever business you're in. All businesses in Uganda, apart from politics and evangelism, are subject to taxes. So know the businesses that you're in, all right? If it's a shop, you still need to pay turnover, business on your turnover. If it's above 50 million, okay? You know that it's 937 or 1.5 of the gross turnover, whichever is lower. So, ladies and gentlemen, we don't like tax, I know, but I don't want your businesses which you've grown, yeah, to be at the mercy of the taxman. Better you have your records in place, and then you know how much you're going to pay for the taxman and plan for them, such that when they come, even if they come unannounced, you just know you're in charge. You're not you're not taken advantage of. Many times we shudder and get heart attacks, and even these people know that we don't like taxes, so they will assess us how they want to assess, and because we are too scared, we close our businesses, or we just pay, or we give, so don't be in that in that position where you're at the mercy of the taxman. They also don't like finding people who are informed, but when they find you when you're informed, let me tell you, they will not come back, because then you're not a good customer for them. So, so also it's time for us to know about other statutory obligations. When you register your company, you have to do annual company returns. And when you submit them, you need to submit them with audited accounts. So you can only have audited accounts when you are maintaining your records, right? NSSF, there are obligations there if we have employees who are more than 5. Pay as you earn, there are obligations there for remember the cash and non-cash benefits that are included, all the directors' benefits which we like to enjoy. The businesses will have to pay taxes on them, pay as you earn, because we are beneficiaries of those benefits. Trading licenses, annual pay, depending on what business you're in, and withholding tax on all of us. I'm sure if you're not doing an online business and you're paying rent, now it's important for you to withhold 6% for all landlords you're paying, because if you don't, then the onus of the burden of payment will remain on you if your landlord does not declare. All right. So if you're a tenant and you're paying someone, a landlord, remember that 6% has to be withheld, and you have to pay to URA, even consultants, right? So the last resource or tool that I want us to use as we're managing our financial records is using time as a resource. If I may ask you, ladies and gentlemen, on this call, what's the value of your time? If I wanted your services for 1 hour, how would you quote for that time? Okay. Anyone who wants to share? Anyone has an indication, or you'd say, pay anything? Ronald, is there anyone who wants to share? If I ask them that, how much would you charge me for your time? I need an hour of your time.
Trying to check in the chat box.
Yeah. So
Looking for a hand?
Yeah, looking for a hand. It's important to, you know. Yeah. So one thing I've also seen is that as business owners,
I think we have feedback from Gloria. Gloria says $150.
okay.
Anne says 60,000.
Okay.
Seems like they have a number on that.
Okay. So why I ask that question is that, ladies and gentlemen, it's important that we know the value of our time so that we know where to focus our energies and know which things we should not tolerate in our businesses. Many times we're so desperate, we chase everything that comes our way, but end up losing. Okay, but if we take the time to know, you know, to build up the value of our time, then we know which things we are going to do on pro bono, which things we are going to do, you know, at a professional fee, because our professional fee is our professional fee. Even if you know, some of us are employed, we go to work and we are paid. The employer has they've determined how much they pay us per hour. Now, when you're out of that structure, it's important for us to also know what our bare bones are, because you have needs. You saw your personal budget, you saw your business budget. So the time you devote to your business, doing income generating activities matters. So even as I end my presentation, you know, in a few minutes, ask yourself, if you jotted down the hours of that day and started to say what you do between 7 and 8, 8 to 9, 9 to 10, and then you put, is this an income generating activity or is it non-income generating activity? How many of those, what percentage of your day goes to income generating activities? Okay. If we understand that, then we'll know what the right clientele is for us, what the right business is for us, and the right use of our time is. Okay, that's why you'll find that in a profession, you know, you have the same qualification. Someone is charging 60,000, another is charging $150. Why? Yeah, because maybe someone has not taken the time to value the things that they need. So it's a delicate, it's not a straightforward exercise, but it's the onus is on us to understand the value of our time and be able to channel our time, our productive time, in productive activities for our business. Not only that, also for the employees that we employ in our business. Sometimes we have people who sit the whole day in our shops. Okay, it's good to understand when is the traffic time, when is the time when we have so many customers, okay? When is the time when we don't have many customers? So what arrangement can we have with our staff so that, you know, we do variable pay, because again, our businesses are in recovery mode. Remember, that's why we're having these sessions. So do you just chase people? No, you don't chase people, but you optimize the time when you have traffic footprint in your shop, and then know at this time, I need you, I need your undivided attention here. Okay, so that then it helps you when you're charging, when you're investing, when you're using your time. It helps you know where to put energy, when to say this is pro bono, when to say that in the mornings, this is my most productive time and I do only income generating activities. So it helps you manage yourself, help your business also manage better. Okay, when do you have meetings? Is it when customers are coming in, when it's busy, where, understand the seasonality in your business. If it's not a planting season, if it's a harvest season, so understand the seasonality and take time to value your time. So the exercise I want to leave with each of you is get a piece of paper and put all the hours in a day, all the 24 hours in that day, and allocate the things you do per hour, per block of time or per hour. Then assess the time you take. If you're sleeping for 8 hours, yeah, what are you doing for the other hours where you're not sleeping? If most of the things are going to non-chargeable activities, then you're not going to break even if you try. So at that time, you'll know now which activities to drop, delegate, and focus your energies on so that you can increase your earning potential. We are in very tough times, and where we spend our energy really matters, because where focus is, energy follows, and then also the dollar signs will follow. All right. So now that we know about records and how we can empower our accountants, and what tools we can use to hold our accountants accountable in their decisions, how do we leverage these records for better financial decision making? Because remember, we are the visionaries as business owners. So how do you use that information, to grow your business or to make decisions? One, if you have a multiverse of sectors or products or service offerings, you're able now to know the profitability per product. Okay, so then the decision you make is, should I scale or cut back operations in this particular one, so that then I can focus my energies on the one which is generating business? Should I partner here? Should I outsource this part? Should I close this one completely? So that is how you now use the records for your financial decision making. Okay, because remember, ladies and gentlemen, we are in a recession. We don't know when it will end. We're not going to close our businesses, but we want to close or cut back or scale those that make sense. Okay, because now we have to protect what we have. It's not time to be aggressive. It's time to be a bit conservative so that we can conserve and prolong our cash runway as much as possible. Then the other decision is acquisition of long-term assets. Sometimes when you see that if you're in production and you're in home furniture and you're getting so many orders in this, on this particular item, but you're using old technology, there you then know which assets to acquire to help you increase productivity in that line, because you're seeing a lot of money coming in from this segment. That's just an example. So then you know where should you invest, so that when you invest, you quickly see increased productivity. All right. Determining the short-term assets that should be maintained or working capital management. Short-term assets, working capital is important. How much do you need to run your business? Whether you have new business or slow down in business, that is now working capital. You can only get to know that when you have your records in place. So then you know what to cut back on. I have a big office space. Let me get other people to share the office space. I'm spending a lot of money here. Can I negotiate my supply chain better? I'm spending a lot of my money is held up in people not paying. Can I give incentives for early repayment? So it helps you make strategic financial decisions. How much and where should I get funds for growth or for sustaining my business? Again, because you know that you have records which you can rely on at the tap of a button, or by having your accountant in the same room, then you know where should you be getting funds. There are also things which are called bad funds. I'm sure Enterprise Uganda will be able to tell you that in some of your business sessions. Not all money is good money for your business, but you can't know that unless you have a hang of your records, okay? Sometimes it's also good for you to know which money to say no to, yeah? Not all money is good money for your business. But how do you get to that point? You only need to have your records right. You rely on that information to help you, to propel you, make the right financial decisions. Dividends, okay? If it's a good year, how much do you put back? How much do you pay out? Okay, that decision can only be backed by or made credible if you have proper records. Now, your business should be able to be set for the next level conversation, scale, growth, investments. You have investors, they want to do due diligence. You should not tell them, let me come back to you. You should be able to give them information in the form that they want. Okay, again, a simple system helps you be able to do that. All right. So ladies and gentlemen, as business owners, this is where you should be focusing. Now, when you have the right people in place, the right records in place, then you can have strategic information using the records that you've put in place. So finally, you may want to ask, you may be asking, wondering, you've talked so much, so how do we move from here? What are the low-hanging fruits? Okay. Is your business registered? If it is, congratulations. But remember that every time you get your certificate of incorporation, it comes with obligations. So know them and fulfill them, because that's like your birth certificate, but the birth certificate of your business. So every birth certificate, every registration comes with obligations. Yeah. Now that you know the obligations, start there. Okay. Come together and advocate for subsidized services. I know one of the things that keeps our businesses small is that we say accountants are expensive, lawyers are expensive, tax guys are expensive. But right now, even these professions have realized that, yes, if we are going to contribute to the SME sector, which is the engine of the driver of growth, then we have to have packages, starter packs for SMEs as they are starting. So you may not be able to get it alone, but probably Enterprise Uganda can convene these providers to offer subsidized starter packs, so that by the time you get to the next level, you're ready for big level conversations. Because again, you may not have the financial muscle to have this expertise, but things have changed. Even the accountants and lawyers and tax people have realized that there are not so many multinationals, okay? And we know that SMEs are the driver of growth, so we need to position ourselves to meet SMEs where they are. So those services are there in the market. Look out for them. Come together and advocate for those subsidized packages and grow your business in a way that will future-proof you, okay? Know your numbers, ladies and gentlemen. When you know your numbers, it doesn't matter how many assessments you get from the taxman, you know your numbers, you know where to start. When you have someone wants to invest in your business, they won't give you a low value and a low valuation because you know your numbers, okay? If a bank is having conversations with you, they will not decide what is good or bad because you know your numbers. So knowing your numbers gives you credibility and leverage, okay? Be organized, be ready for any surprise audit. And the only way to do that is to have your business in order, ladies and gentlemen. And also ask yourself, how can you optimize time as a resource? We all have the same 24 hours. How many hours do you devote to chargeable versus non-chargeable time? It's not enough to be busy doing everything and everything, okay? Protect your time and let your time, direct it where it gives you maximum value. Say no to those things which are just busy activities, but not really impacting your business bottom line. So as a business owner, I urge you to leverage the proper record keeping to protect today's business, okay? Grow your tomorrow's dream and future-proof your business continuity. When you want your business to, when you want to step down as CEO, how ready have you prepared your business for that transition? Okay, we don't want your businesses to die with us because we're doing very many novel things, okay? How well are we setting our businesses up for continuity to outlast us, all right? So, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to hand over the mic back to Ronald and have any questions. Thank you for listening to me.
Wow, thanks a lot, Monica, for that elaborate sharing, very deep cutting. I've seen a couple of comments that have come through in the chat box. I think William said, I've never valued my time that way. This is a wake-up call. I have seen a couple of people talk about just asking tough questions, especially about that last bit about how we manage time. Victoria is saying, thanks for the session, very enlightening. Yes, Emmanuel is saying the same. Thank you so much for the session. Nila is saying exactly the same for the session. However, Nila talks about the human resource as one of the liabilities which has pushed SMEs out of business. I think Monica referring to the argument you made about the challenge that comes with just having people seated in the business and no work being done. Yes, Grace is saying thanks, Monica, and Annette is saying very excellent presentation. Grace is saying very informative, spot on from Mubarak. Yes, super tips from Susan Kasule. Very informative, a number of thank yous which are coming through. Yes, Doreen, the recording will be available. It's usually available on our YouTube page, and we usually share it in the email. We'll be able to send you the email after this session. Great. So we have about 20 minutes with Monica. I'm going to request that if you had a question for her, please do put up your hand and you can ask that question. If you had any comments to make, Juliet Were is saying great reflection. Juliet, thank you so much for joining. Madam Were, great. You can just put up your hand and ask the questions. I guess, Monica, as I listened to the presentation, I was particularly touched on the bit of taxes and on the bit of managing time. I imagine a number of questions are going to come through in that area, but I have Nila. Nila, please unmute and then you can ask your question.
Yes, thank you, moderator. Thank you, Monica. You hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah, thank you very much for presentation. All you have said is wholesome. I, for one, am an SME who have been in business for the last 12 years. Though some people believe that SMEs die before 5 years. But the challenges we have, and I want to empower you, people in this, if there would be a company which will train people, and then as SMEs, we can source from that company, which will train people on how business is done, how trustworthy they can make you a better person, I would be the first one to come to you. That's what I ask. And secondly, because you find you work so hard, you keep records. And another thing I wanted to say is, when you say, if I have a company which has like 5 people, and I am a professional accountant, why should I recruit another person? Because even the money I'm making is not enough to pay my staff well and myself. Then I get someone. What's wrong with me doing my own accounting? I submit.
All right. Thank you so much, Nila, for that question. I'll request Millie to unmute and also ask. Millie, please unmute and you can go ahead and ask. Millie seems to be, Millie, if you can unmute. Yes, there you go. All right. As we wait for Millie, there are a couple of questions. I wanted to receive a couple of them before I invite Monica to answer. Monica, what is the solution to human resource issues? So that is Sarah Naiga. I think that you alluded to the fact that human resource is a big cost on the business. What's the solution to that? Mubarak asks, how can we access tax regimes? How can we assess tax regimes for different businesses? That's the question from Mubarak. Helen is saying, how do we record expenses from local markets? For example, restaurants who buy foodstuffs from the market. Good question. And I think as you answer that, you can also talk about the fact that I had this in the people who run the hotels, the requirement of antifreeze invoice when you have just bought watermelons from the market. How do we go about that? Monica, you can respond to that. Yes, Christina, Madam Christina talks about, can Enterprise Uganda try to put a figure to time or man hours so that we can have a standard charge? I think Madam Christina was thinking the same, that possibly we should have a session. I think Monica touched on it, but that may be our next session. How do I exactly value my time in a step-by-step arrangement? If there are any other questions, please put up your hand and you can ask. And then I can ask Monica to come back and answer those ones. Millie, I'm seeing you, but I'm asking you to unmute. Okay.
Yeah, Monica, thank you very much for your presentation. And I'm very interested in the issue of business budgeting. I would like you to advise me on, yes, I have an accountant, but this business budget, should it be done yearly? Should it be done monthly? Given the fact that he's keeping a record of the accounts that the expenses that we incur monthly. So I'd like to know whether this business budget should be done monthly or quarterly or yearly. And should it be done a year before so that you plan for the coming year? Thank you.
Great. Thanks a lot, Madam Millie, for that question. Monica, I'll give you, you possibly go with those, and then we could have another round if time allows.
Okay, thank you, Ronald, and thanks everyone for asking very tough questions. What's wrong with doing my own records? I didn't get the name, but there's nothing wrong with doing your own records if you know what to do. Okay, so there's nothing wrong, because there you're using your competence. Now it will become an issue when you grow so big, then you may become the enemy to your business for growth. But if you're still small and you can do your records, then you don't need to outsource that. Many times, many business owners are not, they don't have that financial knowledge really. They just know how to build their businesses. So they need someone to help, with pricing, with record keeping, with budgeting, with that, because for them, numbers and business are like, they're different. So again, it's not a one size fits all. It's assess yourself. Okay, even when you're doing your own business and you're the CEO and you're now turning over 100 million, 200 million, 300 million, 1 billion, you may become the limiting factor to growth of your business, because you're the CEO looking for new business, engaging stakeholders, and also you're the one really in charge of all your financing, if you know what I mean. So understand the level of growth in your business and then know when to get someone to delegate certain things. But if you are competent, please go ahead and do it, because there's no need duplicating. Now you may need a partner who is good in sales and business development. All right. What is the solution to human resource issues? So I do not have a silver bullet to this one. The reason I brought it out is when I look at many business records, the ones that I'm privy to, there are two things that are the biggest expenses. It's rent and payroll, okay? Now, when we are in times of recessions, again, for SMEs, and depending on where you are, actually all businesses now, irrespective of whether it's an SME or not, they've had to go back and see, where is my money going? Because in a recession, customers don't have money to pay for luxurious things. So it's important for you to understand the period you're in. Now, if customers are not willing to pay, you loading up all these costs, what does that mean? Does it mean you close business? Does it mean you continue charging anyway? Or do you now need to revisit your expenses and say, where do you cut? Because customers will appreciate you cutting down on your expenses, managing your expenses, removing the excess fat, so that you can still give them the service they expect without you charging them an arm and a leg. So human resource and rent are the biggest costs from my analysis that I've seen, yeah? And now those are fixed costs, whether business is coming in or not. Others are really variable of when you need something, you now get, you pay for it, and then you have a margin of. Now, why human resource and how we optimize time is important. It's that even in the farm that you have, yeah, must you have permanent staff throughout? Or can you discuss with your staff to give you that time when you're busy, and then they can also, figure out how to use their time in a more valuable way, as opposed to just sitting there and business is slow. So we become creative with how we manage human resources, not to chase them because you need them when you're busy, but to sit down and say, realistically, we've done our budget. Yeah, we did our budget for the year. This is 9 months into the year. We've not even met X%. And now they also know, because you've been budgeting with them. They'll also volunteer information and say, Madam, what if I come 3 times a week so that you only pay me for those 3 days? So depending on the nature of your business, for me, what I'm thinking is have candid conversations with your human resource. Again, don't just, cut them off and throw them away, then bring them back because you think they're desperate. No, if human resource is a great asset for you, have those conversations. Yeah, does it mean you can come 2 days instead of 5? So that you can also free up their time and they can look for something productive. You want your resources to be productive and not empty, not have empty stomachs. Because when they have empty stomachs, your business is going to suffer, okay? It will suffer. They'll eat into your business without you knowing. But if you empower them to also know the value of their time, then it's a win-win and it's a process. So I'm talking about it from a more proactive way of what are we seeing the trends now in terms of proactively engaging with our employees, as opposed to looking at them as they're desperate people who have nothing to do. I think people have options, especially now with all the different options of, starting a hustle, starting a business, making use of your time, okay? Yeah. Monthly business budget. Should we do them monthly, annually, quarterly, daily? So I think it's good practice to do your annual budgets, but not do the annual budgets and look at them again next year. No, every month you touch base with your accountant or with your team to understand where you are, so that then you can make the necessary proactive strategies to close the gap, or double down on something that's working, or tweak your budget to give you what you want at the end of the day. A budget is not a fixed instrument, but it helps you have those conversations because it's the tool you're using to hold yourselves accountable to the business. Okay, how can we get access to the different tax regimes for the different businesses? I have my brother here called Lincoln on the call, who is who is very fluent in tax. Tax is his language. One thing that I can tell you about taxes is that they are always changing, again, because also the taxman is being responsive to the way businesses are changing and the demands to cover the tax deficit. So I cannot tell you that I also know all the taxes that I need, but my approach is, if I'm going into real estate, it's important for me to spend some time with people who are knowledgeable in that tax, arena, to understand what my exposures will be and also anticipate them and manage them better. So he's on the call, and if he can volunteer himself to give us some insights, but it's not a 1-minute thing. Like, you can't have a database. You can go to the income tax and get lost. So you need someone to break that down and tell you what it means in your context. That's why you have tax advisors, okay? That's why you have people like Enterprise Uganda who can convene these consultants and now be able to break down these tax heads for the different things and make it easy for you in terms of where do you go when you need real estate, when you need consulting, taxes. So I cannot do justice to a tax conversation in one session because it's wide. Yeah, but there are ways we can proactively empower business people to understand the tax elements in their space. Okay, how do I record things from local markets? Is this because of IFRIS? There's been a debate again on IFRIS wanting TIN numbers from local market vendors, yet the business environment does not really warrant that. I mean, when you go to the market, how many of us get receipts from these market ladies. So those are still glitches in the IFRS system, implementing something when the operating environment does not actually, harness that. But what I can advise is, if you have a small hotel, for example, and again, Lincoln, if you can please volunteer yourself to say something about this. If you have a small hotel and you know that, you go to the market, and that's why I told you now, source documents, your purchasing person or your source documents that you release money for the market. Yeah, you will have a budget. We're going to buy tomatoes, what, all those things. Then you release money, okay, to the person who is buying. If in your business, maybe it's good for you to put things like, in this week we have spent 100, whatever, it will leave the bank, go to the purchasing officer. Again, put in place those things which even a taxman can say, how do you purchase? Oh yes, the admin person makes a requisition of the things that they're going to buy, then we dispatch the money and they buy the things. So that is evidence that money has gone to buy these things because this person's role is this. So how do we put in place that documentation trail to show that this is the process we follow when we go to the market to buy things? That again is information that the taxman can be given and say, this is how it is, because they will not know market vendor, issues tax receipts. Yeah. But that's still a developing area for IFRS purposes, where we're having complications with, hoteliers. Yeah. Ronald, I hope those are the questions that I was given.
All right. Thanks a lot, Monica. I've seen a couple of more coming out. Our time has run. We usually want to end at 10:30. But Monica, I'm going to request that people who want to get in touch with you, please do share your contact in the chat box so that people can reach out, possibly your email or phone contact. I don't know whether I can give a minute to Lincoln. Lincoln.
Yes, Lincoln.
I'm trying to unmute him. What name is Lincoln using?
Lincoln Kasirye.
Okay, let me see. Yes, here he is. Lincoln, do you want to just take 1 minute and say something as we bring this to a close?
Yes. Good morning, everyone. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, Lincoln.
Yes, I'm Lincoln Kasirye. Thank you, my big sister, for the wonderful presentation. And when you talked about tax, two things came into my mind: how to register and when do we register. Like in the recent era where we have IFRS, we have withholding VAT, most SMEs are doing business whereby they can get business to an excess of at least 37.5 million in a month, which means that by getting that business, they are obliged to register like for VAT, and they don't do so. And in so doing, the compliance issue is where they will be supplying, when they supply to designated withholding VAT agents, they will charge them withholding VAT, yet they will not be in a position to claim the credits in question. Then there are what we call tax reviews. At what time do SMEs need tax reviews? Many will tell you that tax consultants are very expensive, but these reviews will always be on a first come, first serve basis. Just get your handbag tax consultant who will understand you from time to time. Embrace that being a taxpayer, you're like a baby who is ever looking out for something to play with. You should be in position to tell us that, you know what, this is my problem. And the best tax advice is based on the records, as Monica has been saying. When you don't have the records, you have no case to urge out with the taxman, because tax is evidence-based. And I always tell SME people two things: keep your records, you'll be at the top of your game whenever the taxman is on your neck. Because currently, URA is on the hunt of who is keeping records around town and who is not doing so. And from a compliance perspective, there is no way you will tell us that you're compliant when your things are not in order. They will always tell you, yeah, you have paid this amount. What is the basis? The basis is always the records. For registrations, there are many SMEs that have DINs, but they don't know which tax heads they have been registered for. And of late, URA is doing a lot of registrations. How often do we do the reviews? And these reviews at the end of the year, quarterly, weekly, monthly. Remember, the taxman is an indirect signatory on each and every transaction you engage in. So what is the tax planning opportunities available for us? First of all, compliance is the cheapest. The moment you can plan for your compliance very well, the rest will be history because you have a back position in case the taxman is on your neck. Thirdly, besides compliance, do we understand the nature of the businesses we are dealing in and how tax affects them? Because many taxpayers, will, especially in the SME world, will always ask you, how much should I pay? And as a tax consultant, I will tell you the basis of knowing how much you have to pay is not by word of mouth or by observation. I'll ask for records and then I'll make an assessment. And when we talk of records, we mean a lot. We don't only look at incomes and expenditures. At times you'll be in position to, you have to claim like capital deduction when you don't have a fixed assets register. What do we need? We need to come up with business solutions. I know many businesses have computers, but they can't use them. Yet, my sister like Monica can come out and tell you, you know what? We can have a fixed asset register in Excel, whereby you just update and the tax consultants just comes around and do a few computations of wear and tear and you claim that allowance. But the question is, SM is up to the task of knowing this, or they will always come to us to ask how much should they pay? I always tell my colleagues that tax is cheap. Tax compliance is the cheapest tax planning you can ever have. So as members who are listening right now, I should urge you all to embrace two things. Hire, not hire, just be friends, be within a community whereby there is a pool of professionals. You get these ad hoc advisory services, tax and so on at a cheaper price. Myself, I have a tax hub where Monica subscribes. We share a lot of information on a daily, which is very relevant to SMEs, but are we up to the task to get that free information on a daily, or we are just on a move that when URA comes, we also get to that? I always tell people tax is no longer an operational issue. It is a strategic issue, which has to be discussed at all times when we are doing our business, be it marketing, be it production, be it what, in all our dealings on a daily, we have to think about tax, because it is that expense we incur whereby we don't earn anything directly. You cannot pay tax expecting a profit, but we pay it expecting as a mandate, because it is a compulsory non-quid pro quo. By law, we have to pay it, but do we plan for it? Not planning for it will mean we'll get to the worst with the taxman and businesses will close. If you have looked at the recovery, the business continuity measures that have been provided by URA, on the face of the law, they will look good, but have we tried to dig deeper to understand what was the rationale of the lawmaker and how do we go about it? There is section 45A of the VAT Act, which says that if you do business in excess of 5 million and in a period of 30 days, you can go on and claim the VAT suffered. Have SMEs tried to embrace that? Have they come up with a mechanism going about to get the refunds such that they
Right. Lincoln, we seem to be losing you. Great. I think Lincoln's volume has run down a bit, but I guess what this shows is that we need to schedule an entire session where we can have. Yes, that's better. I was just great. I think I can hear you better now. I was just saying that possibly we may have to set up a full session and have this conversation in more detail.
Yeah, in conclusion, I was saying that SMEs just need to be within a circle of business professionals, because that's where Monica and I will always interact and give information that is kindly relevant to businesses at a zero cost. Because like recently, when I'm talking about tax, I don't talk about it just because I want to get business. I talk about it as a way of giving back to community. And I think that's what Enterprise Uganda is doing, because where there is business, there is tax. Where there is business, there is law, and tax is law. Have you registered with your business with URSB? Have you gotten the thing? Do you have the trading license? So in that arena, do we have professionals around? Do you subscribe to the same platforms with them? Because at times we just need social capital just to get what we want. Because I've learned it in practice that you cannot be a master of all trades. You can be good at doing business, you cannot be good at tax, you cannot be good at doing legal work. Let's just embrace that when it comes to compliance, I want to be categorically clear. There is no tax planning that will beat compliance in the business world we are operating in. Compliance is the main game changer for all SMEs around the country. Thank you for the time.
Thank you so much, Lincoln. Asante. Thank you so much. Lincoln, I'm going to request that you put your phone contact in the chat box. Great. Friends, I want to say a big thank you for joining. We have overrun by a couple of minutes, but it has been a very insightful conversation. Monica, thank you so much for sharing from your heart, and also for the input which Lincoln has made. I think what this speaks to is we need just a specific conversation. We have had a couple of conversations on tax in the past, but possibly we can dig deeper and look at a specific tax and how we can dig deeper into it to have a better understanding for the many entrepreneurs and many investors who join this call. Once again, a big thank you and have a lovely week. Keep pushing. We'll be back next Thursday. Lincoln has shared his email in the chat box, rather his phone number. Lincoln, you could also share your email. Please reach out to him if you want